Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 115 of the NFT Catcher Podcast. It is Sunday, January 8th, and I'm here with two very special guests, NFT Girl and Belle. We met in Miami. We set this up and they met Jennifer as well. We set up this really cool collab. They're the co-founders of XYZNews. It's a Web3 media company. They produce a variety of shows, including the IYKYK, if you know, you know, and the Spanish show, Rompiendo Barreras. And they cover all things happening, NFT, crypto, and they do really cool stuff. So what's up, ladies? Glad to be finally going.
Hello.
Yeah.
Man, this is like the first one where you get two ladies instead of one.
I know.
I'm definitely
I lost one, but I got two. Yeah, I know. Yeah. she does the intro normally. Like that was my first ever intro. So
you did good. You even got the Rompiendo Barreras.
I tried my best on that. What does that actually mean?
Rompiendo Barreras is breaking. What's the actual
barriers?
There you go. I was gonna say the ceiling. So kind of same thing, right? Breaking barriers, going through the ceiling. And so the entire premise of that show is where we like to speak to Spanish speaking participants of the NFT space and how they are breaking barriers, what they are doing. Yeah.
Love that's awesome.
Showcasing that community.
Yeah. I actually just read an article. I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I was just reading an article about Latin America and the burgeoning NFT space, and that there's a lot of people getting into it and all kinds of stuff. What were you going to say, Lex?
I was just going to say that Rompiendo Barreras was initially, if you know, en español. But people don't really know what even English speaking people are kind of confused when they read the IYKYK. And we had like a title. I think one of our first titles for it, if you know, en español, was Rompiendo Barreras with so-and-so. And someone was like, oh, I really like that title in Spanish. So we're like, okay, we need to like completely rebrand the Spanish one because it doesn't, if you know, does not connect the same way. But yeah, that was a really cool beginning of that. And now we're almost at like almost 80, 70. I think this week will be like 78th episode.
Wow.
So we're not as, OG as you guys, but we're almost up there. You're
getting there. Yeah. 115. I can't believe it. Pretty wild. That's a lot though. No, it takes even what it is 78. I mean, that takes dedication. It's all, it's fun to create these shows and do the content, but sometimes it's hard to show up consistently, every single week, twice a week, whatever it is, especially if you're going live on Spaces. I mean, there's people listening and it's a whole thing for sure. You got to prepare yourself and you always got to be in the right mood. It's like, even if you're not. Yeah, for sure.
It's so much harder than just picking up a microphone and just speaking to it. Yeah. We talk about showing up, and it's incredibly hard. We now are doing multiple shows a week, live spaces, etc. And it is incredibly hard to come up, continuously. The consistency
I agree.
Down there is the hardest part.
Yeah, it's rewarding talking to the people that listen. Like when you do it, and then you have people that come to you and like, I'm listening. Like that's so cool. That's my favorite thing about this is talking to the people, getting DMs. Like if I say, even people that are like, that was wrong that you said, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. But you were listening, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for listening. So what's going on in NFTs that's big and giant? I don't know much about this, but I keep seeing it everywhere. And I wanted to see if you ladies knew the Bonk and the Franc, like these soul meme tokens, whatever they are, Bonk token. You guys, know anything about it?
I know nothing about it, so I'll be
Yeah,
honest. And you
that's
know what I mean?
fine.
Like,
Either do I. Either do I. I was in
all
Key
I
West for
know,
a week, so yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I was in Minnesota
Yeah,
actually all
yeah.
last week. I was on vacation, but I will say
Mhm.
that from the very little that I have seen, Frank tweeted about it, right? I think that the Utes community and the Gods community ended up getting the airdrop, and it's caused a tiny bull run sensation, which everybody loves.
Yeah.
That's all I know. Did you get it?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I didn't even. I don't know. I just saw it everywhere, so I figured if you guys knew, but I didn't even get to look into it or anything.
Yeah,
But
I do like the branding though.
Yeah.
They have,
yeah, I mean it's catching some hype, so
yeah.
That's what it's about.
One of our listeners actually DM'd me as well about it. He was like, yeah. So but ETH is actually over 1,300 for the first time in a while. That's come up a little bit.
Woo!
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that.
I know. Yeah, I know. I'd love to see that get back to where it should be. 3,000-4,000 be real nice.
Oh man, yes, it would be. Yes, it would be.
I know. It wasn't all that long ago, and then it just took its nosedive. It'll come back. Might be a while, but it'll come back. And so another piece of news. I think you guys did say Crypto Novo, and you saw this. You saw the story last week where he got hacked. He lost height for sure. Really good dude. And if, like we were saying last week, if there's anybody that's a brand at all with their NFT, it's him. He wears it out. So there's a GoFundNovo.eth, GoFundNovo.com kind of thing going on. I think Spotty Wi-Fi looks like he's a big part of it. Dario Di Siena might have actually been the one that set it up, one of the OG artists in the space, and it's doing well. It's going to get him there. I think it's like halfway to 75 ETH to get him his punk back. It's not going to make him whole because he lost a lot more than that, but that's the one that it has to be with him.
And is it just for the punk, his trademark punk, or all of the other ones also that he lost?
I believe that the goal of this is to get the trademark punk back.
Yeah, that's the important one.
Yeah, that's the one that it's for sure. It's crazy that you can just lose something. We've talked about this a lot, but there's no rules or laws. You click on a bad link and you lose $1 million worth of assets, and you can watch it forever. You'll be able to watch those other punks do what they do forever. There's so many Bored Apes that have been scammed. It's got to be a nice little percentage of the project that aren't even with the people they should be with. It's a weird dynamic.
Did he release any details on exactly how
it happened? Not that I saw. I think he's been pretty close to the vest. Not that I saw.
Yeah, man, that's heartbreaking. I've never actually seen him without his Crypto Novo.
No, nobody has. As far as I know, yeah.
So yeah, I really hope that he can get that one back, and I think that's really cool that at least the community, I'm watching his tweets of last week when he announced it, and it's 3,000 likes, 800 retweets.
Wow.
1 million. Oh, now you can see the views. I always forget. I'm like, oh, now you can see the views. Almost 1 million views. And that's crazy. That's not to get too deep into it, but that's really cool to see the community kind of rally behind someone that has been part of the community for a while, and people know him. People know kind of what he's about. So that's a really positive thing in my opinion, just to see people getting behind him and helping out.
Yeah, that's actually amazing. That's a really great thing about Web3 and the community, and people are going to raise about $100,000, and get it back for him.
Yeah,
pretty cool. Yeah, Hobie, I can't even imagine, but
you should have him on a episode.
I actually thought about that. I know when he gets it back, or even whatever. I thought about reaching out. We're buddies, and I could definitely do it. I thought about, but I didn't want to bother him during this time, and
yeah, for sure.
Hey, come on in your lowest moment, But I definitely want to reach out and don't want to try and exploit him, but that would be great, especially when he gets it back.
Yeah, that's such a hard topic, and yet it's such an important one, because I think that we forget, because we do this day in and day out, we forget truly how sensitive it is and how anybody can be a victim to it. It's as easy as just clicking on a link and, being distracted, whatever, just going on other people have talked about in the past. And so I think that that putting a focus on that and having someone like him or anyone else talk about it, when they feel comfortable about it, is an important lesson learned, because it reminds all of us to always, always have that in the forefront, because you never know.
That's really, really true. We had a couple like educational episodes, and we talked a lot about security and having a ledger and, diversifying your assets and all that different kinds of stuff. Like it's not for the faint of heart, not your keys, not your crypto, but you're now your own bank, and bad things can happen. You click a couple wrong things and it's over.
A lot of responsibility in that. A lot of
responsibility.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Your seed phrase, people lose their seed phrases. Like there's gonna be crazy stories in 10 years, like people that lost their seed phrases with 10 Bored Apes or whatever, like.
Did you see that person that was arrested? There was a social media video. Yeah, you saw that? So a person gets arrested. And
and the cops put their seed phrase like on the hood of the car or whatever.
The cop had the camera on him, and so he's talking, and he's like, "I don't know what this is. Can somebody come in? What are these words on here?" And somebody's like, "Oh, that's a seed phrase." When they've been panning the video on there for like 20 minutes already.
I know. I did see that. That's wild. I mean, like, I guess you could sue or something, like, but like that's really.
I hope that one didn't have a lot of valuable
about it. Poor guy sitting in the cop car, unable to say anything.
I know.
I would be destroyed just on that.
Yeah. You shouldn't carry it around in your pocket on a piece of paper, probably.
Good point.
Yeah, but maybe he just made it. Like maybe like someone's like
it to the bank.
Yeah. What are you doing it at the bank?
Just putting in a safety.
Yeah. Oh, right. He was for sure.
Just got caught.
For sure. Yeah, that was wild. I did see that story. That's it's gonna get crazy when the criminals start to realize like you can, because like a lot of people have MetaMask right on their phone, and they're just gonna be like, open your MetaMask, and I always think like there's also gonna be lots of like my computer here, like I could click on my MetaMask and do anything with it. Like there's going to be people whose kids buy NFTs or sell something and they don't want them to, and there's nothing you can do. That's going to happen a lot as well. There's going to be like weird stuff like that.
I do not even want to think about that. Oh man.
We're just getting started. We are just getting started. It's going to be a fun time.
I was talking with one of my uncles that I was actually visiting in Florida back in our and he's not in crypto at all. He's very much so traditional finance type of guy. And I was kind of like explaining to him the benefits of, how you can have like ETH in a second. Like I can just have your wallet and I'll give you, whatever amount, whatever NFT. And I was explaining to him like the wallet addresses and like how you send it, and you have to be careful because there's no middleman. And I was speaking to it like there's no middleman is great. And he was like, wait, but I do want the middleman. I do want that security because that middleman for me means that I can get to talk to someone if something goes wrong. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I think it just that was like a really good perspective of, for a lot of people, it means a lot of freedom, but for other people is they may not see it the same way. And I think that kind of goes back to the what you call it, the kind of the divide of like the mainstream people like not wanting to adopt it as soon as like the Web3 native people that are not like rallying behind it. But I now seeing his face and kind of his perspective has really kind of helped me understand the other side too.
Yeah. And those are the people that use FTX and Coinbase. That's definitely something people want. People want you to take care of it for them, to make it easy, to give them a pretty interface. I've said, I think that we're going to, like a lot of people are going to be doing their crypto through Chase, Bank of America, these domestic gigantic banks. I think they're going to take it over for sure. Once it becomes regulated, What do you guys want regulation? You ready for regulation? And
that's the segue that I was like, this
yeah, okay.
I think
Nice.
perfect segue. I think for now, and I think this would be something that like you know, a lawyer or economics or a regulator, you know, expert would be obviously better equipped to like have a professional opinion. But I don't see it as a bad thing. I think that as we mature as consumers, the whole world and the countries are also going to mature in their adoption. And part of that is just regulations. And I think some of it's needed, to be honest. I mean, with what we saw with FTX last year, that was like a clear example of like, oh, well, maybe some regulations wouldn't be that bad, you know. But I understand also the people that, you know, came here to kind of escape that, you know, the people that are going to control us, and I get that. I get both sides. So I am for it. I think it's just how much, as long as it's for the protection of the people that are using the technology and not necessarily trying to limit like a individual creator, you know, like more so regulations on corporations that are making like huge impact in people's lives, and not necessarily like limiting a artist in Singapore that's just like trying to make a living off of their pieces, you know, like that type of, that's the difference that I'm like, well, I don't know how regulations could affect like an individual like that, you know?
Sure. No, that's a great point. I mean, it does get really complicated, especially like they make regulations in the US, but this is a global market and we don't discern who we're trading with or anything. So the person in Singapore, I guess the worst thing that could happen to them is that the United States categorizes what they're doing as a security. I don't know, you know, but we do need, like, I want to know what the rules are, I guess, is really the main thing. And I think that's going to also help more people come in and be comfortable spending their money. Everybody in the whole world saw what happened with FTX, and they were, you know, they weren't regulated. They were just playing around with $10 billion like it was just for fun. And it was a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a complete nightmare. You know, in my opinion, it's inevitable. It has to happen. Right. It has to happen if we want to go mainstream, if we want to adopt, if we want it to be fully adopted. There are so many businesses, industries that are like just waiting for that to be for the entire space to start to be regulated so they can actually play around with it. A lot of different financial, you know, gurus have said it. As soon as it starts to be regulated is when they will feel safe enough to start investing in the space. I mean, that's just what has to happen for businesses, corporations, entities, financial, you know, businesses with fiduciary responsibilities need something to go by. They need regulation. And until we have it, it's not, we'll continue to be the way that we are right now, which is onboarding as many retail, smaller, you know, individuals as much as we can. But the big dogs, which are really going to move the needle forward, they're not going to come until we are fully, or at least starting to be regulated.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. And I hope the people that do it, they do it, you know, in a positive way and not try and shut everything down, and just make sure that it's safe for people. Just like in the real world with financial instruments, they're regulated, and you know, it definitely has to be. We also don't want to get left behind. You know, the U.S. is behind a lot of countries in the crypto space and that kind of thing. And you know, all of our politicians are 100 years old and trying to figure out what to do. So we will. Yeah.
I was talking with a crypto guy that was in Miami too, that he's in Estonia, and he's like putting a whole event together over there. And he was like, yeah, our country has been adopting blockchain since 2018. Like the government adopts it and since 2018. I'm like, dang.
Yeah. I mean, they're running around El Salvador paying for vegetables in Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Like, and we're like, we can't do it. We got Sam Bankman-Fried robbing everybody.
Oh my god. How embarrassing.
I know. It's terrible. So 2023's here. Stuff's been pumping a little bit. I want to hear what you guys are into. Some of the stuff, like I said before, our listeners have heard a million times the projects that I like and what I'm into. But I want to hear what you guys are into. And also, like, what do you look for in a project? What's going to make a good project this year? What do you see when you want to invest? What are some of your favorite things you've been into? Some of your favorite artists? Like anything you guys want to kind of bring up in that respect. I'd love to hear about it. I think our listeners would love it.
You want to go first, Lex?
No. I'm gonna let you start.
Okay. I like to participate in a lot of different ways. I like to trade, the smallest of the degen mints. I like to do long-term investments. I like to buy art. I like to do everything. One of the things that I'm looking forward to this year is a step up as far as the professionalism, I think. Last year we saw this bull run that was incredibly fun for traders in the space. But as a long-term an investor, it was just crap because it was a lot of churn and burn. It was a lot of, over promises and under delivery. It was a lot of unprepared people coming into the space. And we saw a lot of people, amazing artists, for example, coming into the space, creating digital art, realizing that their stuff sells, creating collections, people buying the collections, and then getting to a point that it's like, oh, okay, now what are we going to do, right? The word utility popped up a lot, but if price doesn't go up, then what do we do? Well, we drop another companion, and then it just continues to go on and on and on, until you're left with a founder that has absolutely no clue what to do next and ends up, whether they want to or not, ends up exiting because, well, money has run out. I can't really afford to have any, bigger team. I don't necessarily want to rug it, but really, how else are we supposed to continue to have this? I view a lot of the really successful NFT projects as a social club almost, right? I view them as a place in which you can go, you can buy into the NFT, to be surrounded by people who have similar visions, similar missions as you do, like certain things. A lot of them are like really good professional networks. CPG, I'm thinking of Moonbirds, etc. Really good professional networks that you can kind of rub elbows with people and create really cool things. There's also a lot of women-led projects that have really good things for women to go in and learn, etc. Right? So I consider them a lot to do more with social experiments, social kind of clubs. And what I think that the element has been missing, which I've seen in the past couple of months, is founders now realizing I got to step this up. I have to consider this instead of a project with a start date and an end date, something that will never end, something that is more of a business rather than a project, something that I, artist, or I, creator, don't have the experience in running a business. So I'm going to start off with a team that is going to help me run an entire business. So I want to see more professionalism. People start treating their projects as if they were NFT businesses. Start thinking more of a run for 5, 10, 15 years without considering airdrops or without considering companion NFTs in which people have to spend more money on. Some of the ones that I'm looking at right now that I've been really excited on, I've been picking up some Moonbird oddities that I think are probably going to be running sooner rather than later. I picked up a couple of potatoes. I actually sold a potato before the captain's mint. I got really lucky and I sold one for 7 ETH, which was awesome. I circled back and I picked up another potato. I'm holding that. I did not get the captain's mint. Little pudgies, I think, are a really cool one that I'm keeping an eye on. 10 KTF also. is an exciting one.
They're crushing it. Yep.
Yes, that I've gone in and out on that one so many times. I'm sitting now just on the positive. So, no matter where it goes, I'm still happy with it. Yeah, those are some of the ones that I picked up some chubby verse just because I think that the cute meta is back on right now for the time being. I picked up some ferocious paint drops in the past couple of weeks also. I think that that's always a really good investment.
Yep.
And those are the ones that I can think of just, off the top of my mind right now.
That is awesome. You actually made some incredible points there too. Like I love hearing all the stuff you buy. So you do a lot of, you're a little bit of a DJ and you buy and sell a good amount, don't you?
I do.
I love that. I love that.
Yes. It makes me happy.
Yeah. Nice.
And, when I first started off, I actually started off by trading NFTs and thankfully was able to replace my job with it. But I think just like everybody else, you talk to so many traders in the space that start off as traders and then they end up just really falling in love with the space and doing things that are more long term. So the degen the thing about the degen ones is that you have to be on it, like 24/7 on it. You have to know exactly when they come out. You have to know the people, etc.
Sell at the right time. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So I miss a lot of them now just because I cannot be there. But when I get it, it's fun. It's fun times.
That is awesome. And when you talk about like you're exactly right. Nail on the head when you talk about how all these projects, like the end of 2021, end of 2021, beginning of 2022, when we did have the major bull run, everything was super hyped and somebody would come out with an idea and have some decent art and everybody would just buy it up real quick. And there would be a couple thousand ETH in secondary right off the bat. And then it's like, now what? Everyone's on to the next thing. And there's only a couple projects that actually made it out of that. I bought a Moonbird's Oddity not too long ago as well. I agree that those are going to do well.
Yeah, I think that's going to do really well. I'm probably going to pick up another one just because they just partnered with
United Talent.
Yes, I was going to say UT something. Yeah, United Talent. They just partnered with them, which is bullish. I haven't really seen too much of a price action difference. Oh, the floor right now is at 1.47. Not bad. But I think that once that was over the weekend, I want to say, is when they partnered with it.
Yeah, it was just the last couple days because I found that when I was going through the news.
Yeah.
So it was just the last couple days. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So as the news comes.
Oh, sorry. Finish.
So they're a talent agency.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
They manage money. And they manage XYKK. They actually, when I saw the news, I was like, United Talent low key manages like the powerhouses of Web3, from collections to specific like artist brands. Like Vini Harger is also another one that they represent, and Betty from Dead Fellas, which is
right. I remember when she signed with them, when they signed with them for sure.
Yeah.
They manage the NFT Catcher podcast.
No way.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, you blindsided us. You're sorry. We just do this for fun. And then
if they would like to, because I know they listen. If they would like to, we're open to talking.
Yes.
They're super nice people. I met two of the ladies that run the Web3 side, and
cool.
They're so you can tell that they care, that they're not like, because I think when people think about like managers, or it's kind of like this connotation that's like this greedy old man managing, and like it couldn't be further from that. So I've been really happy seeing and meeting them the times that I have, and it's kind of incredible that like their team's not that big. So I'm curious to see like how are they gonna scale their Web3 segment, because the brands that they're representing now are just like crazy big.
So
like,
what do they do for people? Do you know, like what do they do?
they handle like I know for the artist side, they handle like all of their deals. Like if a brand wants to work with them, they would handle that deal. And or get like go out for them to like get them collaborations or get them in different places. I think like IRL things too, like booking them and things like that. So yeah, they're literally just like representing their brand.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. So Lex, you want to let us know some of the projects you're into? Yeah, it's your turn. It's your turn.
Run with it.
No, she crushed it. She crushed it.
So here's why. I think we should actually go back to a little context and like intro of both of us.
Totally.
Here's why this works so well. Because Belle here is, like you said, true degen, completely underrated. Like she is a savage, and people only know it when they ask a question like you just asked, and then she just like drops the bomb, and they're like, "Oh, damn, she knows." And me on the other side, I do not trade. I've never traded. I've been more so on like community building and art. Heavy on the art part, especially between 2020 and 2021, and just being in, now in Twitter spaces and helping people out within the community or like finding their place in Web3. So I'm definitely not, I'm not gonna give you a whole list of like projects that I'm gonna flip and things like that. I'm definitely not gonna BS my way out of that. So, but I think that's what works really well for us specifically because we see both sides. And I think a lot of the times in a podcast or in a team or in even like a group, in like a Discord group, you see both sides completely separated. Usually the art crowd is like in their own, bubble, in their own Discord, in their own, space or event, and the traders or the more let's just say traders are completely, on the completely different side of the room. And there's so many like similar, at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. We're all trying to achieve the same thing of adopting the blockchain technology and creating opportunities for creators. And so I think we complement each other really well because we see both sides. And so whenever she goes to the events with me, we're on the artist events talking about, the market, and they kind of like, oh, okay, because like they don't talk about it, but they also do it too. And then on the other side, it's super nice to see like, oh my gosh, did you see so and so? They drop a super amazing piece, 101, and they also appreciate the art and the creation. So, we're definitely kind of like a yin and yang on that front.
I love that. You guys make a great team. That's really cool. Do you have a couple favorite artists you want to shout out?
I was really a fan. Like lately, the last interview that we did was, I think, like the last week of December, and it was with XYKYK. He did the state of the art, which I thought was incredibly complex, but at the same time, just like, I think that was like one of the best examples of how you can do a project without doing a PFP project as an artist. And he was so intentional about letting us know, like, hey, like, I don't want to be a CEO of a XYKYK PFP project. And the fact that he recognized that, and like what Belle was saying at the beginning of like, for 2023, we want to see people take this a little more seriously and rep Web3 in the right way. And I think it's not only the things that you do, but also the things that you choose not to do. Like jumping in like without any idea of what's going to come to you. And I think a lot of people learned that in 2022. And XYKYK was definitely one of those that I saw that was very intentional and just being, this is about art. I'm going to connect people through art, but I'm also going to make it accessible for people And like he kind of just like check mark all of those. And I really admired that project from him. And then Kath, I just saw that National Geographic's
yes
drop. I am actually a huge fan of Jimmy, the photographer. He's not like Web3 native, but he photographed Jimmy Chin. He photographed he photographed Alex Honnold, who is a solo climber and rock climber. And I'm super into rock climbing. So it's super cool to see like Justin Aversano and Kath kind of be next to just like photography legends, like overall of the world. So I'm excited to see more of that in 2023, just like big artists making it accessible for the whole community to have access to their art, and then see newer artists just start to understand their flow. I think everybody in 2023 was just kind of like trying to get into everything, trying to figure it out, trying to not lose money, trying to keep their mental health. And I think this year is just everything's going to be a little bit more intentional and, step by step. We got burned in 2022, so we got to learn from those mistakes.
Yeah, you also make some really, really good points. I mean, people definitely got into it and didn't realize that they were now having all these investors who want them to do a real business. Like they just were like, yeah, everyone's putting out a project. Let's bang something out, make a couple mil, and like
nothing else.
Right.
Can I add something about the thank you?
Of course.
Because
of course.
Think that, I think this is also a really good point of what I'm looking forward to next year. That we have already started to see. One of the things that I was so impressed about Thank You X on the conversation we had with him, is that, he made it very, very clear this is for the appreciation of art. But 2 years ago, even in the beginning of last year, what you didn't see was artists talking about how they want to include the nasty word utility into their projects, right? I'm of the opinion, as much as I love trading my NFTs and making money off of that, I'm still a strong believer that royalties, especially for artists, are just just not even up for discussion. They absolutely deserve it, and there should not be any discussion otherwise. But one of the cool things that I have seen is that artists have really leaned in more into incorporating Web3 NFT utility into it. So now it's not so much as, I'm going to be dropping this really cool NFT and I want my collectors to buy it, obviously, and enjoy it for the art. But I'm also going to be incorporating other things like, maybe the allow list capability to it, or maybe if you have this and I have collaborated with someone else, then we'll give you an airdrop, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I have really enjoyed seeing artists incorporate some of those things into their projects now that a year ago, 2 years ago, it wasn't even up for consideration. That's just not what it was. They minted one thing. That's all that it was. Whether you liked it or not. And now I think it's kind of, I don't know, maybe meeting in the middle, or maybe just more of an embracement, or maybe just, enjoying it for the moment. I don't really know how to describe the moment of collector wanting more and artists wanting to give more. But whatever it is, it's really cool to see. And I'm looking forward to seeing them play around with it more next year as well.
Yeah, I agree. I love the creativity. There's a lot of like, if you burn 3 of these, you'll get something else, and they can play, they get kind of gamify the collections. Go ahead, Lex.
I wanted to add something that I think also the reason why we've seen artists now kind of starting to find that utility that works for them. Like there's no pressure of like, oh, I need to drop something that has an utility. It's more so that the technology that they're giving, like the tools that the artists are receiving, are getting better and better. So like the reason why they can do things is because of tools like Manifold or Bueno, and now because those are getting better, and that's something that I am excited personally to see in 2023 of like node code tools, whether it's tools that people create or even AI tools that is going to enable artists and any kind of other creator. Like we can go down to the list of all kinds of creators in Web3, but all these tools didn't exist before, or they were very like early stages. And I think in 2023, we're definitely going to see more and more and more tools that allow people like us to do our jobs even better and to focus on the things that we actually, care about and that we enjoy doing. And I think, artists especially are going to see these tools that allow them to focus more so on the creativity, but then have like certain dynamics that they can now like reward their community and their collectors in a different way. And not because they didn't want to do it before, but they just didn't have the tools to do it before. So I think that a lot of the projects that I'm excited to see in 2023 are not even out yet. And I've seen some that have been, kind of in their beta mode in 2022. But yeah, those no code type tools kind of excite me, even though it's kind of geeky. It's definitely not sexy. Those things that make our lives easier excite me a lot. So I would say those.
Yeah, and that's awesome. The builders are building for sure. I love Manifold. I love seeing what people can do with it. And, we've had friends they can just drop an open edition. You have your own contract. You don't have to, it's really cool. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. You mentioned Bueno. That makes, art generation and creating a collection accessible for a lot more people.
Yeah.
A lot of people took advantage of that during the holidays. I was out, so I couldn't participate, but I kept seeing a lot of New Year's and Christmas.
There were drops and
and
open editions. Yeah, really cool stuff. Yep. What do you guys think of open editions? They get some people get mad when the price goes down and things like that. It's like there's kind of like a give and take there. And the artists get a little offended, I think. Which I don't blame them.
I think it just depends on what the initial message is. If this is just like,
good point.
Hey, like this is my art. This is a thing for like. I think it's just depending on like what you put out there, like the messaging that you put out there, and the expectations that you put out there for yourself. And I think it's kind of hard when you don't say anything and people start assuming. I think that's when there's a lot of like friction between the two parties.
Yeah.
But I think artists, I've kind of learned also and kind of accepted the fact that they have to be very vocal about like, this is intended for this, and this is what you should expect. And whether that's just like the art and that's it, which is totally, totally fine. But I think it's just more so like that initial communication that makes it a whole difference.
Yeah, the initial, it's really important. Go ahead, Belle.
Yeah, the other thing is, as a collector, I've minted a couple of open editions. There truly is a big difference on how long it is open because, I mean, listen, we all want something that is exclusive. We all want that thing that is just for me or just for a very small group of people. And I think that, and actually, I think this is another lesson learned because I can't remember the last open edition that wasn't more than, or that was as long as they used to be. One of the ones that I think received the biggest FUD ever that I can't remember one that received it that much was the Drifter Shoots one. And that one, remember that? And that one was open for a long time. I don't remember how long it was open for, but I want to say almost like a day or something like that.
I think it was,
No. His one.
Yeah, his like 1 year out, I think it was called, maybe.
First
Yeah.
Day
okay.
Out, I think is what it was. First Day Out.
First Day Out. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
First Day Out, which was the first picture that was taken of him right after he got out, which was an amazing concept. And then he, got offended. Speaking about getting offended, he got tremendously offended.
Right.
Which, I mean, you can understand why, because people were like, "Wait, what?" And now it's
right. There were like 13,000 or 14,000 minted or something, and then the price went down. Yeah,
and then the price went down, et cetera, et cetera. Yep. But when you think about it, and actually, I didn't think about it until right now when we started talking about it. I can't remember the last one of like a recent one that went that way, because I think that as time has passed, I think artists caught on to the fact that open edition is cool and all.
Yeah.
But you still want to have some limited, something to it, whether it be time limit. So now what you see is I think I saw one over the weekend that was like, you have 2 minutes to go out and mint this open edition.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's pretty cool.
They've gotten hip to it.
That's fun.
Yeah. You mentioned Ferocious Paint Drops. That was an open edition when it dropped.
That was an open edition. Yeah.
And that was one that was actually a very successful one. One of the ones that did really, really well.
It did, and it continues to do really, really well, again, because of the utility and the speculation that one paint drop or however many paint drops is going to get to the PFP. I think it started a couple of months ago. It started with the speculation of you needed 3 paint drops in order to get one PFP.
That's what I have. I have a 3-pack.
Exactly, because of speculation. So yeah. So again, I think that a lot of these open editions can be successful. I mean, but then again, define successful. Successful.
Well, success. I mean, for the most part, for most people, successful is price go up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line, really.
It is what it is. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Vivo's price has gone up because of the dynamic, the gamification of it, the speculation of it, of the PFP. But you have to ask yourself, I do. You have to ask yourself, okay, what's going to happen as soon as the PFP does come out? Then what?
Right. It'll probably pump going up to it. Yeah, exactly. Then what? For sure.
Then what? And as an artist, he's done a fantastic job of being able to maintain the interest. And there have been lulls that, the price has gone down and back up, etc. He's done a fantastic job of keeping up the interest and keeping it gamified, keeping people coming back. But what will happen after that if, for example, a person like you, many others, I have several of them. Let's say that a person buys 6 because they want 2 PFPs. And then at the end of the day, you actually don't need 3. All you need is just 1. What will happen? I ask, it's not necessarily a rhetorical question. What's going to happen? We already know what's going to happen. The price is going to go down. It's going to tank. And then the artist, Fiwa in this case, is going to have to think of another way to continue doing something to pick up the interest again. So it's a never-ending cycle, which again goes back to, in my opinion, making sure that you set yourself up for a much longer term than just tomorrow or just next year when we do drop this additional whatever it is, in this case a PFP drop. How are you going to keep up the interest afterwards?
And I also think that the people, I think it was last year, maybe in LA when it was just dropping. And there was they were doing like an AMA in Vivo's Discord specifically. And a lot of people were asking like that type of question of like, oh, if I buy that, would this give me access to this, or would this give me, this type of utility? And he was very much so like, hey, there's no roadmap. There's no like, I'm just like going with the flow. This is whatever comes my way, and I feel like it's right for Field World. Like that's what I'm going to do. So just fair warning that don't come in as a looking at this as an investment rather, but more so as a support of my creative vision.
It's an adventure,
yeah. And he was very, very, very adamant about that type of communication since the very beginning. But it's hard. It's hard to keep that narrative as time goes on. But again, you know, the expectations were set, and hopefully people, you know, can see that.
Totally. And Fuo's also, you know, 1 in a million that he's
absolutely
one of the very top NFT artists. Very young and successful, like, you know,
20 years old.
Yeah, amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, super cool conversation. We talked. You mentioned Kath and the National Geographic drop that's coming. I don't know too much about it, but it seems really interesting and thought people might like to hear about it. So their National Geographic is launching their Genesis NFT collection. They're doing it on Polygon. A lot of these companies are choosing Polygon. It's doing really, you know, it's Polygon. The trading is up on Polygon, and it's you know, zero gas. People like it. So there's 16 unique photographers, including Kath Samard, who's Web3 native. I've actually tried to get her on before, but we haven't been successful yet. But because
Justin Aversano too.
Oh, is he one of the 16? I didn't see his name. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Justin's one of the most successful photographers since Ansel Adams. You know, if you look at the sales he's had and, you know, Twin Flames and all that, like Justin's incredible. So they're doing 16 photographers, and they're each going to have an edition of 118 each. The primary sale is on January 17th, and you actually need the KYC to do it. I didn't see the price, so I don't know what they're going to cost.
Why do you think the KYC?
That's what I was going to ask. Why?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly. I mean, probably the lawyers over at National Geographic are like, don't just, you know, you better know who you're selling them to. You could be washing money for the North Koreans or something. Like, I don't know, you know. Like, I don't know why they are doing that. But yeah, you got a KYC for it. So
wait, it's a blind mint, and I think the price hasn't been announced yet, and they just saw it on the FAQ.
So what's there? 16 times 118? What's that about? 2,000. What is that? Let me do the math.
I did not have a calculator near me, so you will not you will not get the response from me.
1888. 1888.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Nice.
Snow Crash.
Yeah.
I wonder, is Snow Crash who's behind Snow Crash? To be honest, it's one of the first times that I hear about this new marketplace. But the fact that they're coming in with National Geographic and
is that what it's selling on? What is that? I do know we talked about Snow Crash at some point. I think.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
They're the marketplace where.
Oh, cool! Yeah, I do see that. Somebody is behind that. Okay, trusted harbor artist. I gotta look it up. Yeah.
Have you bought anything from Snow Crash, Belle?
No. Oh,
or both of you? Both of you.
I have not.
No, and I'm kind of sad to hear that. Okay, here's my hot take. I think it's a mistake. I think that they clearly have not partnered with someone who is a true, you know, NFT native, NFT purchaser, etc.
Right.
Or maybe that's just not the target market. I mean, maybe that's what it is. But you're going through Polygon, which, okay, that's something that as a NFT person, you're like, all right, I like it enough. I can, you know, bridge on over. That's not that big of a thing, but it's already a barrier. That's barrier number one, you know. And then you add to that a different marketplace that I've never heard of it, to be honest. I mean, it could be huge. I don't know.
Yeah.
I bought from pretty much every single marketplace. I've never heard of it. So I feel like, you know, you're doing this drop. In my opinion, it's an epic one. National Geographic, come on, who doesn't know who that is? That's
yeah. They should do it themselves, right? Is that what you're saying?
What I mean?
Yeah.
This is such an iconic opportunity.
That's why I asked who's behind it though, because like, what if one of the founders or one of the people from National Geographic is part of the founding, or like, what do you call it? The investors in Snow Crash. That happens all the time.
But even worse. I mean, if you're trying to cater to the NFT market, then why wouldn't you use what is already adopted? There's so many other marketplaces right now that are known, etc., that you could go through. I wonder what the percentage of royalties is going to be. Now I'm curious on that, on what that is going to be.
10%, 10% for sure.
10% for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Of course. I don't know, man. I just think that when Web 2 comes into the space, they need to make it more, they need to adopt what is already here. They need to make it a lot easier, not harder, for those of us that are already here purchasing NFTs on a daily basis, as well as the new people who are coming in trying to learn it. This one, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, I would assume that they are targeting both Web3 native people as well as Web 2 people that they want to be onboarded. So they're going to onboard them to, I forgot the name of the marketplace already.
Snow Crash.
All right. They're going to onboard them onto Snow Crash. And then what? That person is going to do what with it? Is it truly going to spark something in them that is going to say, oh, wow, this is really cool. Now I want to go and I want to buy other NFTs. Well, now how do I do that? Because Snow Crash doesn't have all the other ones. How are they going to translate to OpenSea or to Rarible or to, et cetera, et cetera? I don't know. I just, this triggers something in me because I think that it is a terrible way to, I don't think that they're reaching their potential. National Geographic is an iconic brand to bring into anything. And for them to launch an NFT project makes me incredibly bullish, just because I'm a National Geographic geek who hasn't been, who didn't grow up with those yellow, yellow, black news.
I love their biography
magazines. Series. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't, right? And so you would want to see this be done in a way in which like it checks off every single thing that I want it to, and it doesn't. And so that's why I'm a little bit disappointed. I will say
I hear that
the people that they've picked is pretty cool. So,
I'm gonna jump on the conspiracy theory and be like, this is done on purpose. And people from National Geographic have an interest in Snow Crash, and that's why they're utilizing it. And this is a complete conspiracy theory. This is not facts. But like, that makes sense. That's like really the only reason that for me it makes sense, that they have an incentive to incentivize the adoption of Snow Crash.
The thoughts and experience on this podcast are not necessarily the opinions of NFT Catcher Podcast. Just joking.
Now we're gonna want to partner with you anymore, Michael. You're gonna be like,
I know that's messed up because I was going to be one of the photographers.
Sorry about that.
No, I mean, or you definitely could be right, or it could be something like somebody at Snow Crash knows somebody in National Geographic's like, hey, let us put on this project for you. We'll do all the tech. All you got to do is give us some photos. But yeah, so you like when you look at the opposite side of it, you look at what Keith Grossman did with Time Magazine and bringing them in and doing lots of really cool, like true Web3 things. I'm gonna look more into it because you make really good points there, Belle. And you're kind of right. And we've seen like the Rugrats or whatever they did theirs on Recur, and it's like whatever, for sure. When it's a whole different website and marketplace, and you got to. Yeah.
That was another one. I got Recur. I tried Nickelodeon. I tried all of them because
I have like 12 Recur passes. I should have sold them when they were
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Really,
I can't. Yeah, exactly. As a person that buys NFTs, I should be able to buy a damn NFT. And in this one, I have never been able to actually buy one on any of my Recur passes because of because of a, plethora of reasons.
Yeah, sure.
And it just shouldn't be that hard. It just shouldn't be that hard. That's all I'm saying.
And if it's hard for someone that's a true DJ, I can't imagine how hard and confusing it can be for someone that this is their first NFT.
Oh yeah, it gets really well. That might be, I mean, maybe Snow Crash is going to let people buy with a credit card. That's very well what could be happening. Because it is really like if you want somebody, if somebody's like, hey, I heard there's a National Geographic NFT. Okay, here's what you need to do. You need to open up a MetaMask, but your seed phrase, you better store it correctly or you're done. And then you need to find a centralized exchange and have your bank wire some money to there. Then you can then transfer that money in about a week over to your MetaMask. It's like, it gets pretty wild. It's to get someone going.
When the Trump NFTs came out, a lot of people were complaining about the fact that they purchased it, they got it on the credit card, they had absolutely no clue how to access it or what to do with it, or potentially how to sell it, or even how to buy other NFTs, So I think that, I mean, it's a big thing to ask, of course, and it's so much bigger than this conversation. But wouldn't you assume that when a business like that, a corporation like that comes in, wouldn't you assume that they want their person to be able to, whoever it is that they're onboarding, to then be able to navigate the space afterwards?
Right.
Rather than
you would
just
hope so.
buy it? You would hope so, right? You would hope so. And so then wouldn't it make sense for them to foster it and provide the mechanism, the easiest mechanism for them to do so? I don't know. Maybe it's too much to ask for.
Probably. I wonder what they're going to be charging. I wonder if it's going to be like $50 or like $500.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's more than $50.
Yeah, I was going to say there.
Right, especially because there's only 2,000 of them. That's actually really true. Yeah, for sure.
And the caliber of the photographers is even the non Web3 native, like they're like pretty amazing. So have they said anything about the type of photography? Is just whatever.
I don't think so. 16 unique photographers. I don't know exactly. I think they're going to be able to submit what they want, I guess.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on it.
National Geographic to come on either of the podcasts,
or the people from Snow Crash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit us up.
Yeah, what's up, Snow Crash?
We have questions.
Yeah,
we got plenty of questions. Come
we have some questions. Belle's got you. Let's get Belle on Snow Crash. Get those people on. Grill them down. I love it. So we got a couple more pieces of news that happened just recently. I saw that OpenSea, they added a sweeping feature where you can sweep up to 30 NFTs at a time. Obviously trying to, compete with Blur and other such marketplaces where you can do that. It's a nice thing to add for OpenSea. Good for them.
I love to see it. They've been stepping up their game lately, for a minute there, for a while there. Actually, the entire thing was like, okay, OpenSea.
Yeah, they got pretty lazy. They got
incredibly lazy. They got incredibly lazy. They let all these other marketplaces come up, do, open up, create all these other mechanisms. And it wasn't until they started to see all of that they said, all right, maybe we should do something now.
We got to do a little something.
We got to do a little something. Yeah. But I will say that the something that they have come out with, the analytics, that now this, not bad. I'd like to see it.
Cool. That's awesome.
And it hasn't even been a whole year because they were catching fire. The whole last year, like in different increments of last year. But I feel like sometimes because the space moves so fast, we sometimes forget the amount of time that it takes for a platform, any platform, to make technological updates from UI UX standpoint, because that's not going to move as fast as the Web3 space. So we're already, so far ahead, but then they can only go as fast as our minds want to. So I'm glad that they were able to catch on, but I have seen that kind of trend of let's go. And it's developers and they can only move so fast, you know.
Mm-hmm. They can only move. That's for sure. Especially when they fire 40% of their staff a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Then they can. Yeah. And Super Rare just did that. I have that on the list here too. Super Rare cut their staff by 30% just a couple days ago.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah. They said they hired too many people during the run up, and they couldn't keep up with it. A lot of companies did that. I mean, a lot of the tech companies fired a lot of people.
Again, I'm hoping for that professionalism next year or this year. You know, we need to get to that point. We need to, because those are, I don't know, those are business 101, you know, problems. It's not that you don't see them, you know, it's not that this is a new problem. But again, forecasting and understanding the cycles of any business is important. So I don't know. Totally. Layoffs in any industry is just, you know, sad to see. In this industry, it touches us even more because the NFT space is still so small. I was listening to a Bankless podcast recently, and they were talking about how the NFT space is still so small that truly we're all just a degree away from someone who is really big in the space, you know, a huge artist, a huge founder, a huge creator, etc. So chances are we know these people who just got laid off.
Definitely.
And,
you know,
that's what breaks my heart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so you just hate to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Vayner 3 laid off some people recently. A couple of our friends from the podcast were let go from there. So it's definitely
wow.
Yeah.
Is it technical or more creative based?
The people that got let go? I think it was creative.
Yeah. That's tough. Especially like you said, Belle, that was a great point. Like the fact that we've worked with Super Rare in the past and we know so many people in their team. I haven't seen like specific individuals, you know, I haven't seen anything on Twitter as far as like people, you know, posting that they're moving on to the next thing or whatever it is. But these startups, like the people that are in working within them, this is their whole world, because it's like they have so much responsibility and there so many artists and so many people within Web3 are just counting on them because because we're so new, we have like all these pillars that we all rely on, but then we don't realize that these pillars are also new. They're considered still startups. They're, you know, all of them. So I think it's sad, but it's kind of like a reality check too of like OpenSea is considered a startup too. Super Rare is considered a startup.
Yeah.
Even though we're looking at them as the giants and like the established companies of Web3, but it's like in the grand scheme of things, not really. They're still pretty much developing.
Yeah, it's a great point. You're exactly right. A company that is not still developing, but is not a startup, Shopify. They've extended the ability for people to sell NFTs using the Avalanche blockchain, like right on their Shopify storefront, which is kind of neat. So like if you're selling a t-shirt, you can sell the NFT of the image also, if you want to, right on your Shopify store.
So they're embedding kind of like, I think Rarible is doing that too, right? Like they're using their platform now. Like Rarible is expanding to not only be the marketplace, but also like have their backend for other platforms to use as a shopping mechanism.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. Good for. I haven't been too up on Rarible.
Yeah, no, I think that's how they're keeping up, to be honest.
Okay.
That's how they're which it makes sense. It makes sense that they're using the technology that way.
Totally.
I'll be curious to know, where do you see that going? Like the shop, like who do you think? I feel like Shopify will be something like big brands would use to embed that within their merch store if it's something that they're using, whereas like a very like easy way to adopt it as a business. So that's actually, I'm actually bullish on that, because I think I mean, like business owners that have Shopify on their platform, and they're never thought about having the authenticity in their merch store. The fact that a company like Shopify can just bring in a very easy, hopefully, I don't know what the process is, but I think that could incentivize a lot of businesses to,
dabble in it, right? People might buy some. Yeah. It's always good when, a company like that gives it legitimacy is really the best thing about it, probably.
Yeah.
Getting a lot more exposure. That's never a bad thing.
Right, exactly. See, getting that word NFT, digital collectibles, getting that word out there. Are there any other topics or news things of the week you guys want to bring up? We end the episode with like a collection rankings by sales volume over the last 7 days. So we'll do that at the very end. But I want to give you guys a chance if there's anything you want to bring up or talk about or anything.
I think we've been talking. First of all, thank you for inviting me to chat with you and all the listeners. I think I'm super excited about what we're gonna build in 2023. So I obviously don't want to jump off.
No, let's hear it.
Without at least
yeah.
But no, I think last year we did over 100 Twitter spaces, and I think we were trying to figure out what the people needed, especially during a tough year like 2022. And we've been doing the Twitter spaces since February, I believe, of 2022, but we didn't officially launch XYZNews until November of last year. So I think last year was kind of like an experiment of like who we are, what are our voices, what does our audience want, and figuring that out, and then telling people that we found out too, and this is who we are. And so I think we're really excited to keep showing people, okay, now that we know who we are, this is what we want to do in 2023. And I think that's one of the things that we definitely want is to be tour guides for creators, but also brands that maybe don't know what to do, maybe don't know what the Web3 way is. I think a lot of the things that we saw last year were brands coming in and kind of experimenting, but then leaving kind of like a sour taste to a lot of people's mouth. And I think a lot of the times, because we've been on the other side talking with them, a lot of the times it's not intentional. A lot of the times is of ignorance and of like not having a Web3 native person on their side that can guide them. So 2023 is a year where we want to keep helping their community, but also the brands that are going to create bigger communities within the NFT space. So you can find us if you need that kind of help. Super excited to see what we all can build in 2023. I would love for Belle to add anything else, because we can talk for hours about what we want to do this year, but I'm not gonna go down the whole list.
I'm only gonna add one tiny thing because I don't want to repeat everything that you already said, Lex, and that is our Spanish programming. As Latinas, we think that is something that still doesn't get enough attention, in the fact that Latin American countries, studies have been done that Latinos, especially Latin American people, so like the generations now that we represent, are some of the people that are the quickest to adopt new technology, and ready to pay for it. So I think that there's a tremendous demographic opportunity to be tapped into that sometimes gets forgotten. And given that a lot of the news, a lot of the communication that comes out of NFT and of crypto is obviously in English. By the time that it is translated to Spanish, a lot of it is already old information or, changed information, etc. So we like to, or we've taken on the responsibility as Latinas to make sure that, people who speak Spanish are not getting old information just by virtue of the fact that they happen to speak a different language. It's just such an elementary type of thing for us to jump on. It's a no-brainer for us. Yeah. And I've said this many times before, and I'll continue to say it. I strongly think that any NFT project or business, group, etc., whatever it is that they are founding in the space, it's so important to remember that group exists, and to have someone who's there in a way to be able to communicate with the group. And so that is why we host Spanish and bilingual content.
Yeah, we actually do it before the English one. So our Spanish Twitter spaces are on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Central. And then our English one is on Wednesdays at the same time, 4 p.m. Central. And the difference with you guys is that we do it live first. The community comes on, they add in, their comments or questions, and then we put that recording on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all of that. So if you're not a Twitter Spaces fan, you can consume it, in podcast form as well. So, super, super important thing that we're definitely trying to highlight. Thank you.
Love that. Yeah, you guys are awesome. We're going to put all your show, like the note. Andy does a really good job of linking everything up in the show notes, so our people can kind of find you guys. So anyone that's interested, check them both out. You guys have provided a wealth of knowledge tonight. I mean, it's been a really great conversation. I've had a blast. We've gone for over an hour now, and it's gone really fast and really good stuff. But I'm gonna start the NFT collection rankings by sales volume over the last 7 days. We like to finish off the recap, just doing the top 10, so people are kind of up on what's hot at the moment. Number one, no surprise, Bored Apes at 18,900,000 in sales. Mutant Apes is number two, about 14 million. Azuki is number three. You guys like Azuki?
Oh man,
I know. People laugh because it comes up. Like, I'm not a fan. I don't like the way that whole the Zagabond thing went down and that guy and what. But there's no denying how popular it is. I think it's like a 16th floor the last I looked. I mean, it crushes it, but
they have a strong community.
So shady.
Exactly.
Yeah, they do for sure.
They have a strong community, and I commend them for trying. But I will never, ever get over the whole Zagabond debacle.
Yeah, it was messy. Yeah. And we were talking about the captains. That's number 4, actually. So that's a new one, right? Yeah, it's the first time on the list because it's new within the last week. They did 10 million in sales. That's the meme land, that whole ecosystem, if I'm not mistaken. 9gag or whatever it is.
9gag CEO. Yeah.
Bored Ape Kennel is number 5. CryptoPunks is number 6. So Rare, which is always in the top 10 for the last few months, is number 7. You guys probably know about it. That's like the fantasy soccer football platform. Yeah. They do basketball now too. Other Deed is number 8. Yuga's been doing really well, thankfully. Beans is number 9, which is part of Azuki, and Potatoes is number 10, and that's part of the meme land 9gag thing as well, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yep. Yeah. So that is the top 10. I guess that's going to be it for this week, but this has been a real pleasure. I hope we do get to do it again, and I'm going to tune into your guy. I'm going to start trying to join the Twitter space and all that stuff. So
welcome anytime. Come live.
Cool, yeah.
Live is
live is where it's at. Yeah, I'm going to come. You said Wednesday, 4 p.m. Central?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a tiny bit tough for me those late afternoon because I'm with my kids usually. I usually Wednesday actually at 5:30 Eastern. I have soccer practice. I'm a soccer coach for my son. So it is a little bit tough, but I'm going to do what I can.
Hey,
and at least
a rainy day gets canceled.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye. If not, there's always a recording. No, but we would love to have you anytime.
For sure. Well, this was an absolute pleasure, and I want to thank everybody for listening. And check out their socials and mixed communities. But what does Jenny usually say at the end here? Thank you, everybody, for listening. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.